Exploring the JonBenét Ramsey mystery with new DNA insights and Epstein file connections.
Anna, good to see you. Jen's a gypsy. All right, we're going to remove that because today, guys, we're talking about the JonBenét Ramsey case. And number one question, never thought I would even be in this predicament. Y'all know that the Epstein files were released, and people are not happy because many are not only redacted, but many of them didn't even get to us. They got blocked. There's a lot of controversy around that. And people are claiming that JonBenét is in the Epstein file photos. And I'm going to show you what that's all about. Not only that, guys, but there is finally new DNA rulings and fresh leads that we're going to explain today. So also, we're talking about the suspects that we've had in this case, and something I can't get off my mind is her father, John. And it's like the red dress situation, right? Or the gray dress and the green dress where you hear it one way and you can't unhear it. Well, I caught this in my last episode when John Ramsey was talking about he called it the garrote. I think he pronounced it incorrectly, but the point was what he said was the garrote that we strangled her with. And then other people say that they're saying the garrote that was used to strangle her. So, guys, huge episode today. We're going to talk about JonBenét. Is she really in the Epstein files? I'm going to show you those redacted and unredacted. We're going to talk about the new DNA rulings in the case and the fresh leads that are out there. Again, guys, I got to tell you, this has been a long time coming. It's been nearly 29 years, and listen to the date. It's been 29 years and 34 days, nearly 30 years. Now, JonBenét Ramsey's death was on December 25th, 1996. Now, investigators are saying that this new DNA testing, the re-interviews, and a private detective with a spreadsheet has produced fresh leads in the case. And this just came out last night, and it's ongoing today. So those leads are narrowing down the suspect list. Now, no charges have been announced yet. But when I tell you about these photographs, that literal photographs from the Epstein files labeled EFTA 0000216, they're all identified by a number. Okay, and that's what brings me to the first part of what we're talking about is JonBenét Ramsey in those files? Right now, the times line up. Everything is a possibility of lining up. Although we're going to hear from John Ramsey and what he has to say. This case is just wild up until the 30-year mark. How does that happen? Rachel Burton, member for 12 months. Love you. Thank you for being here. You have been following this case for a long time, and I think a lot of us have been. And I'm actually excited to hear that a almost 30-year-old case may be solved by DNA. And what they think is that's what they're leaning towards, which I'm going to give you all the evidence today. All right, Sunshine, that's okay. Thank you. But Jay's talking about the party in Vegas. I'm not sure what Sunshine said, but before we even started the episode, yes, we're having a crime con party in Vegas. All right. And it's crazy. It happened so long ago, and yet we're correlating JonBenét, her presence and her pictures inside the Epstein files. All right. So it's been crazy. We're going to, like I said, we're going to do the rumors. We're going to debunk the junk and go over all the new DNA leads and fresh everything. Everything's so fresh and so clean, how we like it. What's up, Cheeky? All right, guys, trigger warning per usual. This case always is very triggering. All right. So let's go. Hit that like button, subscribe, get yourself a membership, share with the community. A lot of communities follow this case, and every time there's a new update, rumor, or speculation. All right. So, I mean, that's just right there alone. I said, what happened? Where did this case go wrong? All right. So now we've got evidence, and I'm going to show it to you in a bit. EFT, and then it's all labeled 000. Now, those are from the DOJ. and those were released in the Epstein files, showing a framed hallway photo inside of Epstein's New York residence. The image depicts Epstein carrying a young girl on his shoulders, but the child's face is redacted in those photos. And investigators and journalists are saying that they don't know if the child is JonBenét Ramsey or who it is, because they redacted it, those photos. And investigators and journalists are saying that they don't know if the child is JonBenét Ramsey or who it is, because they redacted it. But John Ramsey has something to say about that. Now, how the heck did that happen? Well, the Epstein files were released, guys, and a TikToker claimed that the girl resembled JonBenét Ramsey. Then rumors spread, and the unredacted version, the EFTAA000214, came out, and now we're just moving full force with what source and how credible are they, and why are they intertwining the two? Now, John Ramsey has directly addressed the rumor, and we're going to get into that as well. We're going to talk about, we're talking about now the pictures, and then besides that, the timeline of it, the people of interest. You guys know this happened in Boulder, Colorado. And hopefully, if you know this case, on Christmas, her cause of death is asphyxia by strangulation and cranial trauma. All right. We know the case drew national attention. The focus was the family's home, the ransom note, and the evidence collected at the scene. However, back then, there was nothing you can do with the DNA evidence, and all we knew is if it was a male or a female, blood type O, blood. That's all we can tell. All right, now let's fast forward to literally 10,626 days later, and we have people of interest that we've looked at, one being John Ramsey, one being Patsy Ramsey, one being Burke Ramsey. Then we've got John Mark Carr, who confessed to killing JonBenét, but was ultimately cleared through a DNA match. It didn't match. All right, now we've got unnamed intruders that are coming up, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. New theories are driven by a spreadsheet of data claiming links to the case, etc. And there are new DNA rulings and fresh leads. They retested with new methods, and Boulder police have reported that the case is evolving, and the new technology, new interviews, and re-interviews are sparking this case up. All right, bottom line, this case is unsolved, right? It's unsolved at this point. The recent activity centers around the rumors, the DNA testing, and the interviews, right along with the private investigator. Again, no charges have been brought forward, but it seems we might be getting closer. All right, so let's get into it. All right, what's up, Jay? I'm from Michigan. Love you guys. And what's up, Shadow Lion? I'm a lion, and you hear me roar. I love you guys. We have one in chat. Let's say a prayer that JonBenét Ramsey gets the justice she deserved. She didn't while she was here, because in my opinion, I feel like she was heavily exploited and still is to this day. All right, Clark, good to see you, my friend. Much love. Are you coming to CrimeCon? Anyway, let me know in chat who's going to CrimeCon, because we having a party, folks. All right, so I'm going to start with this just so you could think about it just for a second. I want you to think about what I'm saying and what he says, because we're going to go over it again. But I want you to listen to this carefully. John Ramsey admits to the murder of JonBenét. We used to strangle my daughter, and we're talking about the garrote or garrote, whatever you want to call that. I'm going to turn it all the way up, bring this down, let you listen to it for a couple times, and then I'm not even going to respond to it. We're going to move on. I just want this to sink in, because we'll revisit it in a bit.
If certain evidence that was taken from the crime scene has never been sampled, then it ought to be. The main one being the garrote that was used to strangle my daughter. The main one being the garrote that was used to strangle my daughter. If certain evidence that was taken for the crime scene has never been sampled that it ought to be. The main one being the gore that was used to strangle my daughter. The main one being the gore that was used to strangle my daughter. If certain evidence that was taken for the crime scene has never been sampled that it ought to be. The main one being the gore that was used to strangle my daughter.
All right. So again, what you hear, is that a slip of a tongue? Freudian slip? Does it have to do with him knowing the murder? I've listened to it probably 100 times today on different versions, and I can't unhear "we used to strangle my daughter." We used to strangle my daughter. One more time, and then we'll revisit that because we have a big show today that has a lot more coming.
The main one being the gore that was used to strangle my daughter. If certain evidence that was taken for the crime scene has never been sampled that it ought to be. The main one being the gore. All
right, we're going to go over it again. So all opinions are welcome. I appreciate it. Indy Isham, everybody else. I really just want to know where. And again, we're going to go over. This is not AI. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to you guys in another clip. It is not AI. This is real. I've checked 5, 6, 7, 8 different sources, but let's keep going. What's up, horsing around? Like I said, that this is not the topic of today, but it was interesting to put this in there as we know, as we're covering the case and the updates to it. So that's been circulating, and the Epstein, which I'm going to get into right now as well. And then we're going to get into the fresh new DNA evidence. All right. So if that's any indication of how this episode's going to go, well, there you go, guys. Love you. All right, let's bring this up and just get into it. I mean, this case has boggled a lot of people for years. And I'm on X. I follow Jennifer Coffendorfer, right? X FBI. She's been on my channel. She's on every channel. All right, so update from Boulder Police, more like word salad, previous with no real update.